Come, my dear. Sit and so I can tell you the story of La Llorona.
My Sharona?
Not my Llorona, La Llorona, the crying woman. At one time, she was the most beautiful woman in her village in Mexico. She fell in love with a man, and together they had two beautiful sons. But the man was unfaithful to La Llorona. In a jealous fit of rage, she took her children to the river and killed them both so that he would not have the love of his children.
That's messed up, Abuelita.
Yes, and in a fit of despair, she drowned herself in the river as well. Now she wanders the earth looking for children to replace the ones that she murdered. Children like you, Mija.
Mis hijos.
This episode is sponsored by TX Citizen, local New Braunfels news that is exclusively online and completely free. Hi, and welcome to another episode of Pop Culture Geekery. I'm Joe Solis, and I've got another guest host here today. This is Casey Ryburn. How you doing today, Casey?
Good. How are you, Joe?
Doing pretty good. That was a pretty interesting little short there at the beginning, huh?
Oh, yeah, that's a great actor you had there.
Yeah. Got him on the cheap, too. So
Yeah, works real cheap.
So today we're going to be talking about the new movie that just came out called The Curse of La Llorona. So this is the next entry in the Conjuring universe. And so this has now become Hollywood's quietest yet most successful franchise that's not a comic book property or a wizarding property. So, I think they've done an awesome job with this. I know you don't like all the movies, but but just strictly speaking about this silent franchise, what do you think about that?
Well, I like this most current movie was really good because, basically just picks up after Scooby-Doo 2. Velma, she's moved on with her life. She's left the gang behind. She married a cop, had a couple of kids. Lo and behold, the mysteries come back to her.
So, yes, it does star Linda Cardellini,
Yes, Cardellini.
who I always remember from Freaks and Geeks. And but as you clearly, stated, she's also known as Velma in the live-action Scooby-Doo movies, and she's Hawkeye's wife in the Avengers. So,
And we cannot forget Grandma's Boy.
yes, that's right. She is also Grandma's Boy. This movie takes place in 1973, which I thought was pretty well done because I didn't even realize that from the trailers. I guess I didn't notice her clothing and I guess the cop cars and everything. Did you notice it when the trailer first came out?
Really didn't see it in the trailer, but we did see the bell bombs pretty up front in the movie.
Yeah, and that was pretty interesting because I guess we'll go into it more later, but I guess none of these movies have really taken place in modern day. And it was something I didn't think about until this one. So, but. The story, as you saw in our little skit, that's the classic story of La Llorona. And, Casey and I are both Hispanic, so we grew up with this legend, this bedtime story. It meant to scare us into submission, basically. Going into this movie, a lot of the things that were presented, it was just taking me back to my childhood. I mean, what about you?
Some of the props used in the movie, some of the wooden crosses reminded me of stuff I would have seen out at my grandmother's house, when I was growing up. So it was like, oh, so that's why those were there,
Yeah, just in case, La Llorona attacked. Grandma was ready, so.
We were ready to go.
Yeah. But I was just trying to look at it from a person's point of view who had not grown up with that stuff. It's hard for me to remove myself from it because this movie made me realize how embedded it is in my childhood. But are you able to remove yourself and kind of think, if I had not grown up with this, would you have understood it? Do you think the movie presented it in such a way that was understandable to an outside audience that didn't grow up with this?
Well, I kind of had that experience myself growing up because, for most of my formative years, I spent half of them at my white family's house, and then the other half, in the summers and springs at my Hispanic side. And it was kind of a, when those stories are shared, it's like, what?
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely, like we said, it's definitely meant to scare children. So, the movie does a good job of just setting up the story and then getting, Linda's character, in the caught up in the events of what's happening, which is basically just showing that, this creature, this entity that's created from this tragedy, that she's forever, basically. She's eternal. Doesn't matter what time period, doesn't matter what people believe in that world. She can still get you, basically. And, like the child actors that played Linda's kids, I liked them, but here's, I guess, where we'll start kind of getting about some of the things we didn't like about the movie, is that when stuff starts happening to them and even their mom, nobody wants to talk about it.
They do kind of go really quiet really quick in the movie. It seems like a lot of things could have got resolved really quickly with somebody just saying, hey, I saw A, you saw B, let's put these two things together.
Yeah, and so that was a little off-putting at the beginning, because it was like, I don't know if they were trying to not go for the classic trope of, oh, the kids see something and the parents don't believe them, so it almost seemed like the kids knew the trope and they were like, well, I'm not going to bother, because they're not going to believe me anyway. So, but, as we move forward into the story and things start happening, you get a lot of the classic tropes, like, her slowly walking through her house and a ton of jump scares.
Jump scares, lots of setups for jump scares. Mm-hmm. It's all through the movie. Mm-hmm. In fact, I would say that's probably the primary fear area they're focusing on in the movie is jump scares. Mm-hmm. I personally thought they could have made this character a lot more psychological and not just another boogeyman movie out to get you.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, speaking of scary things, don't be scared, because we're not going to do any spoilers, because there's really nothing to spoil in this movie. It's kind of cut and dry. So, but, they do show the connectivity in the rest of the Conjuring universe by, as we saw in the trailers, they do show Father Bettis from the Annabelle movies. So that was, kind of neat. I personally have not seen the Annabelle movies. I've only seen the Conjuring movies and the Nun. But still, I appreciate, that it's part of that universe. And he's obviously there to help with the exposition and show the church as part of it. And he kind of introduces, another important character, but I feel like we don't get him till later, which is the actor Raymond Cruz. He plays the curandero, which is a Mexican faith healer, and Raymond has actually been in a ton of movies and TV shows. The most recent, obviously, was, I know he's one of your favorite villains.
Tuco, Breaking Bad. Yes, yeah. Great guy. Honestly, I think even with his character, even if they decided not to do the Annabelle connection and they took the Father Perez character out completely, Raymond's character in this movie was strong enough that he could have stood on his own and done his own introduction. Mm-hmm. And I think it would have been just perfect even without that tie into Annabelle.
Yeah, I can definitely see that, because, the thing about Raymond's character is they waited so long to bring him into the movie. But to me, once they brought him in, the movie just finally kicked into high gear. Yes. But this movie's only 90 minutes long. So you're talking an hour into the movie before he finally comes in. And but he's the one that makes this movie legit.
I would agree 100%. His character is very strong. Best one-liners in the movie, carries the back end of the movie, and I'm 100% sure he could have carried the first half of this movie, just on the strength of the character alone.
Yeah, for those of you who grew up, in the Hispanic culture or know the Hispanic culture, the moment he pulls out that egg, I was like, oh yeah, it's on.
I was ready to see what was going to come out of it when it's done.
I know, right? But yeah, that was the main thing, is that I just felt like it just took too long to get us there. And then, like you said, it just kind of turned into a monster movie at the end, to where you were saying something about when we watched it, you felt like there could have been more of a psychological aspect. What were you talking about?
You know, they say that the character is a spiritual, this demonic entity. I like to think that can be anywhere, not just in one place, one house. After just two particular children, you know, she's more than likely would be after all of the children she could fill. You know, say whatever basket she might have, she would be trying to put as many kids in that basket as possible. I don't see her, that character, as somebody who focuses down to, well, I'm going to grab these two, and once I'm done with these two, I'm going to go grab two more. I think it's a more wide and varied character than what they presented.
Yeah, and one other thing that I thought was interesting, like I mentioned earlier, all these movies, you know, they take place in the 20th century. You know, just quick rundown. You know, Annabelle takes place in the 40s and 50s. The Nun's in the 50s. Annabelle later reappears in the 60s when I guess the Warrens find her. Then of course The Conjuring takes place in the 70s. La Llorona takes place after, and then Conjuring 2 takes place in 77. So that's technically the newest movie as far as years. And I know that it all centers around the Warrens, you know, and obviously they, you know, we just saw that, you know, in real life, Lorraine Warren passed away like at age 92 or something, you know, and her husband had passed away, I think, in 2006. So I'm not sure what they've done, what they did later in life, but obviously I guess it wasn't as famous as some of the early stuff. So what do you think about the fact that this takes place kind of in the past versus the present? Do you think that helps these movies, hurts them, the believability?
You know, I think they do an excellent job on set building, on making sure cars, clothes, those things are always in place where they need to be. Nothing looks out of place. It actually does take you back to that time period. Now, I can't say I've gone back that far. 76 is my earliest, but everything looks right. It looks in place. I think it allows the directors and the writers to play around more than they would in the modern day with the character. And at the same time, I also think that allows them to go into horror movie tropes where we don't have this psychological horror. We have the boogeyman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was the thing I was going to say, is that, you know, obviously La Llorona is one thing that we were, you know, scared with growing up. But I don't think the Conjuring universe will ever institute the kukui. So.
No. The kukui is perfectly safe where he's at. And honestly, if I'd known La Llorona was after you and couldn't be anywhere else, I wouldn't really be that worried.
Yeah. But so let's just go and move into our ratings. You know, on a scale of 1 to 10, I mean, this movie was hovering at a 5 to me the whole time. If it wasn't for Raymond Cruz, he just barely kicked it up to a 6 for me. And I think I'm being a little bit gracious with that because, you know, I would be happy with a movie about his character. Yes. Just call it El Curandero, you know.
Indeed. I would love to see a standalone movie with Raymond Cruz. Mm-hmm. I think the character's strong. I think his delivery and the one-liners and his reactions and how he reacts to situations are phenomenal. He's built a memorable character. Give this guy a movie. Let's explore him a little further, a little deeper. I bet he's seen a lot more darkness than what they're showing just in this first movie.
Yeah. So, but anyway, guys, you know, I mean, if you like the Conjuring universe, I mean, then this is definitely a must-see because it's the next puzzle piece in that universe. And, you know, it has its strengths and its weaknesses like every other movie universe. So this one's definitely worth watching. Now, with us so close to the summer season, if you didn't watch it this weekend, you may want to wait for it to come out, you know, on some sort of video or on demand later, but that's totally up to you. Dollar movies maybe. But, you know, we'll just leave that up to you guys. So,
final review. Mm-hmm. Mine's 5, 6 at the last 45 minutes of the movie featuring Raymond Cruz.
Yeah, he definitely brought the movie back up there at the end. But anyway, so thanks for watching, guys. Thanks to those of you who have subscribed. As of this video, we have surpassed 100 subscribers, so woohoo for us. So yeah, just keep sharing, and if you haven't subscribed yet, you know, please subscribe, and we'll just try to keep, you know, putting some fun videos out for you guys, and we'll see you next time.
That's messed up, abuelita. How do you say it again? Abuelita.
You can say that too.
Actually, yeah, that's a different way to say
Abuelita. Wait, abuelita. Abuelita. That's messed up, abuelita.